Dead Space is one of my all-time favorite games. The dark aesthetic, the way it flipped shooter mechanics on their heads, the awesome steel suit that Isaac wore was so cool. Oh, wait, we're talking about Kronos the New Dawn, right? Kronos the New Dawn is very much like Dead Space, but with a more apocalyptic aesthetic than space horror. But I'll get to the game shortly, because you're probably watching this video for one thing, really. How does it run on Nintendo Switch 2? The short answer, it could be better. But it's okay. There are times where seeing Kronos running on the system was truly amazing for me. There are spots and moments that make me forget I'm playing on a handheld. But on the flip side, there are moments and issues that really pull me out of the immersion. I feel like you should know this by now, but in case you don't, there will be trade-offs from the TV-tied console and PC versions. It definitely looks and runs better there. But for being on a handheld device, it runs well. There were very few times it dropped from 30 frames per second performance that the developer set, and once my eyes got used to it, it was perfectly fine. There was one instance where, for whatever reason, a specific area started to chug a bit. I was playing in handheld, so I closed the game, rebooted, and it was fine again. It never happened again, so I'm not quite sure what happened there. Another time later in the game, there was a big fight area, and one specific part of that area would drop the frame rate. Nowhere else in that area. The final instance of stutters were whenever the game would save. It would stop, save, then pick right back up like normal. The visuals are reduced, but they're fine. The performance is less than other current gen counterparts, but it's largely fine. Textures can be really good sometimes, and really bad at other times, almost like they forgot to do their one job and load in. What is killer here though is pop-in. Goodness, there is some aggressive pop-in in this game, and there were moments that kicked me right out of the immersion and reminded me I was playing a game. I understand pop-in happens, and most of the time I don't really notice it, but seriously, I'd walk up to something and the pop-in would happen right in front of me. And what's worse is that this game is much slower paced than other games in the genre that I've played. So I wouldn't have thought the pop-in would be as aggressive as a necromorph zoning in on Isaac. I'm sorry, wrong game again. This was a huge downside to the game, especially since it's all about presentation with horror games like this. Now, the good news. I really enjoyed playing this game in handheld mode. The image looks good to my eye, it runs the same, and those pop-in issues aren't as noticeable. Full disclaimer here, I got this game because 1, it looked really cool to me. I mean, have you not realized that I like Dead Space? Okay. And 2, it seemed like Bloober Team, the developers behind this game, really did try to make a good port. You have mouse controls, you have motion controls, you have various options to tweak the controls. There's a lot here that shows a valiant effort, but I do have to wonder if they got their dev kit late and needed a little more time. The mouse controls feel off for some reason. I've used mouse controls in other games and it was wonderful and I was so excited about this. But in Kronos, it alters and changes between not moving enough to suddenly becoming a Formula 1 racer across the screen. Also, just to be frank, if Switch 2 games can run at 40 frames per second as a baseline, that will be great for me. So seeing this game run at 30 frames per second, although it's perfectly fine and it largely holds that, it's a bit disappointing with all the cutbacks they did. So the game runs fine with some definite downgrades that I'm really hoping gets fixed in the future, but probably won't considering Bloober Team didn't really update the recent Silent Hill 2 remake to help it perform better. So how is the game itself? In a word, fantastic. So look, enemies are very samey and there isn't a lot of variety. Also, though the environments are detailed and are very much creepy, they largely look the same with a few exceptions. Plus, this is a very dark game, which would be perfectly fine if we had control of the light. Let me shine the light where I want to shine the light. But sadly, the player does not have that control. The light comes on automatically at certain points on the map, so there were various times where I would wander in the dark for a few seconds before the light would flicker on. But outside of these few complaints, I absolutely love this game. You play as the Traveler, specifically Traveler ND3576. That's quite a good name, isn't it? Who is sent from somewhere by some group named The Collective to gather people's essences, or really their souls. That's what it is. You're getting their souls. This is a fancy way of saying the Traveler takes their souls and gives them what is called ascendance. This all sounds very cultish, and it adds to the feel and aesthetic of this game, which is right up my alley. So these essences or souls that you gather, right? You can only hold 3 at a time, and you will come across more than 3, so that means you've got to literally delete some of these souls. Ooh, that's heavy. But they actually do play a part in the gameplay itself. These essences give you additional abilities. So for instance, one grants you the ability to do more damage if an enemy's on fire. Another might grant you the ability to do more damage with your shotgun if you shoot more than one enemy at a time. So these offered neat little additions that really helped along the way with the gameplay. You gather documents and audio logs, like every single other horror game ever created, because that has never been overdone before, which give more context and depth to this alternate world. A disease has completely wiped out humanity, either blending them into giant meat blobs of something called biomass, or transforming into monstrosities named orphans. As if the orphans and gooey biomass weren't gross enough for you, dead orphans, God, that sounds awful, can be absorbed by live ones, making them stronger. In order to prevent live orphans from eating others and getting swole, you have to treat them like spiders and burn it with fire. But pay attention, since torch fuel is limited. The game is pretty linear. Yes, you can unlock certain things and go exploring a little bit, but really you're going on one direction. That's fine. I'm totally fine with that. You have multiple weapons, but it's really cool because it's all just one weapon. Think of like the game Control, where your weapon turns from a pistol into a shotgun into something else. Also, like most survival horror games, there's inventory management here, meaning these weapons take up spaces, a lot of the ammunition take up spaces, and so on. If that's not your thing, this is not going to help you out at all. I really liked it. It made me really think about what to use moving forward, even though there were frustrations, like I'd go find something and had to go all the way back, drop off my stuff, go pick up the thing, take it back, go drop that off, and then pick up my things again. Okay, yeah, that was annoying. Oh, and you know what else I really loved about this game? There are cats in this game, and you pet them. And totally unrealistically, every time you find and pet one of these cats, they drop off an item for you.
Cat.
But I love that you pet cats and you get rewards. And without getting too much into it, there was even a philosophical conversation had in the game about cats, and I was all for it. Though I can understand why many won't like the pacing in the game and the very robotic performances from the voice actors, I personally loved it and thought it fit very well within the story. Though I would have preferred the story really focused on one or two specific topics of discussion, it's neat to see the various perspectives and moral questions brought up along the journey. The biggest highlight for me, though, is the audio and soundtrack. There is a very heavy 80s sci-fi synth style used in this game, and it fits so well, and I love it. And this especially makes sense considering you'll be traveling from the future back to the 80s various times throughout the journey. The audio cues are some of the best I've heard in a game since Silent Hill 2 Remake. So yeah, I guess that makes sense since this dev team did that game as well. Shots feel dangerous, steps feel weighty, ambient noises of gurgling huddles of gooey biomass, while monsters in the dark release raspy breaths, waiting for you to walk by without noticing them. It is so good. And what's cool, the speakers on the Nintendo Switch 2 do a fantastic job of giving the feeling that the audio is really surrounding you. Sure, wearing headphones is totally better, but the speakers and how the dev team implemented it is crazy good. Kronos: The New Dawn on Nintendo Switch 2 is a real mixed bag for me. If you've watched the footage in this video and thought it was fine for you, then yes, I definitely recommend picking it up. I would love more horror games to make their way onto this platform, honestly. If you're interested in the game but don't ever plan on playing in handheld, I recommend checking out other versions of the game. For me, plugging in some headphones and playing in handheld while my wife watched something on the TV was a great way to experience Kronos. I really enjoyed this game, and it ran decently enough for me to give this game a recommendation. Not a great one, but a recommendation nonetheless.